Van D, a dynamic leader with decades of experience building companies and crushing sales. He's been there and done that.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Van D.
Inspiring audiences across the country to do it too. Here's Van.
Well, welcome back to the Van D podcast. I'm so thrilled because I have one of my favorite guests who, you know, it's not even a guest anymore. You're just a dang fixture, Jay Morales.
Seriously, I'm just here to collect the bill. What's going on?
I'm just glad that you're part of this. You know, there's so many people that you're blessed enough to connect with as you grow through life. And there's people you meet in your life that you know that you have a lot in common with. And Jay Morales, you've been that person for me for many, many years. The way you think and the way that you treat people stands out. And that's why I love having conversations with you. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, Jay Morales.
Thank you. Usually after you say something like that, I like to say something funny. But on a serious note, I appreciate your friendship, sharing your mentorship, sharing all your successes and paving a road for me as well. And I know that it's taken us this long to get to know each other, but man, great things to come.
Yeah, I just like the way you think, and we care about humans. You know,
Yes.
and in this context, we care about human success because we know that everybody out there has the ability to be and accomplish anything they want to be.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is. It's not, you know, a one-day thing. It's discipline. It's creating habits. It's, you know, doing things where eventually they'll become natural to you, and it's wanting it bad enough. How bad do you want it? And that's what we talk about to help our audiences accomplish their goals. And they can use a lot of what we talk about, Jay, not just for their business and their careers and their jobs, but for also just being good humans.
It's relatable. You can apply it at every level. It's not just motivation, it's true life application. So that's what I love about this is you've done it, you've experienced it. Let everyone learn from your mistakes.
Now. Yeah. I want people to learn from my experiences,
Yes.
from my failures,
Yes.
and from my victories.
Absolutely.
Because they're all very important in the course of life.
It's a roadmap for success, really. And I guess some people try to get there blindly by doing it on their own. There's nothing I can say that I've just truly said, oh, I taught myself this. I've learned everything from people I want to model my behavior
But you
after.
might think you taught yourself. You might think that you taught yourself. However, somewhere you got the idea from somebody.
Yes, inspired or something. And I call it modeling. I think if you want to be like Van Dieb, model his behavior and you'll become Van Dieb. Yeah. If you want to become so-and-so, model their behavior. Yeah. And that's why it's so important. But I love being on your show.
Thank you, Jay. I'm grateful. So I tell you, this topic today, something that's very dear to me.
Yes.
I mean, I've always liked to be different. I try hard to stand out in the crowd. I don't ever want to be labeled as one of the pack.
Right.
I want to be, you know, not known as, well, he's a weird dude, but I want to be known as this is a creative, independent thinker that doesn't follow anybody. You know what I mean? That we all want to be different.
You want to leave an impression.
Yeah, I want to leave an impression, but here's the thing. In this topic, the power of a handwritten note.
I know.
And I love it when I see people talking about it and I see motivational speakers. I've been talking about the power of handwritten notes since the early 1980s when I first launched my career. I didn't go to the Harvard School of Business. My family were educators and teachers. There was nobody that sat me down and say, this is how you become a businessman, right. Van Dieb.
Right.
No one did. I had to figure it out. So the majority of my business success has come off common sense.
Right.
Common sense is I would like to open up the mail and get a handwritten note. You know why? Makes me feel like I matter.
Absolutely.
Makes me feel important.
Absolutely.
So I started, you know, in real estate at 23, and it was common sense to me that after I would go over somebody's house and they would interview me about selling their house, one of my job descriptions that I put on myself is I would come back to my office that same day or night and write a handwritten note to that person. Dear Mike and Susie, thank you for having me over to your house today. I sure enjoyed our visit. I hope you pick me when it comes time to sell your house. I'll work extremely hard for you. Sincerely, Van. It can be a number of things. Maybe you want to bring up something that you talked about when you were with them.
Right.
But Jay, I want your thoughts on how important it is to write a handwritten note.
So let's just talk about all the mechanics first that go into a handwritten note, right? You have to be prepared. You've got to either have notes that you've purchased. This is nothing that you do on a whim, right? You're methodical about it. Yeah. Do you have a place that you go to? Do you have a stash or a stack of cards ready to go? Do you take the time to actually think about what you're writing? 2 is the message well thought through? Are you just throwing away a thank you? And we'll talk about that, right? I think the challenge is it's not bad to write a card with the word thank you in it, but it's harder to say thank you without writing the words thank you. What do you feel about that?
Of course, you know me, I don't like to overcomplicate things.
Right, I know.
I say you say thank you.
I know.
I say thank you for everything. You know why? You can't go wrong. There's no downside to putting thank you in a note.
Right.
So give me an example. So I just met somebody, let's just say, and they gave me their business card today.
Yes.
And I want to do business with them.
Right.
I could write a handwritten note with their business card, and I could write a handwritten note saying, Dear Jay, great meeting you today at the mall. Please consider me if you ever need a speaker. Thanks again, sincerely, Van.
Right, right.
Or I could say, Dear Jay, thank you for your time today when I met you at the mall, or something.
Right, where you start out with thank you.
But so my whole purpose, and I don't like to overthink anything.
Right.
Overcomplicate, just not who I am. I like to keep things simple. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why I feel this way about handwritten notes is you can't overthink it.
I agree with you, and I don't try to overthink it. What I try to convey is, Van, when we sat down today, this was one of the most impactful conversations I've had, especially when you said this. I'm going to do this from now on because of this. Cheers.
I love that. That's
Jay.
impactful.
Right.
Yeah.
You know I thanked you in there somehow. I'm very thankful for our time. But I'm not saying don't say thank you. I just think sometimes thank you, and this is just my preference, is it lets you out too easy from the most impactful part of the message. Some people like you have been doing it for years.
And I'm really not sure I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
But I see where you're coming from. I respect where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
That you want them to know what stood out in the conversation that you had with them.
Right.
I think that's a great idea.
And again, and I think it was probably from my 3rd grade teacher who said, don't just say thank you. Yeah. And I've heard that. I said, okay, well, she made me forced to think of what is it that you want to be conveying in a message. So it just stuck with me, but it doesn't make anyone wrong. I just think that when someone really puts a thought, and you can put thank you into a thought, it makes it more impactful.
So here's one of my main motivations for doing handwritten notes is, one, not many other people are doing it.
Yes.
I'll just tell you right now, I don't know too many people that do it. When I go in and I do workshops and I speak to salespeople and leadership, I ask them, how many of you write handwritten notes to clients, past customers, future customers, or people you just met? And 99.99% of them don't. But guess what? They do now, because I really emphasize the power of the handwritten note. So here's the deal. I'm going to just give some examples. In my real estate career, I would write a note the second I left your house. So here's what I would do. I know I'm coming to Jay and Becky Morales' house today to talk to you about selling your house.
Yes.
So I already have the envelope. It's part of my package preparing to come to your house.
Wow.
I already have the envelope addressed and stamped, ready to go.
Yes.
And I have the card in the car.
Wow.
As soon as I leave, part of my process is, just like anything you do to prepare, part of my checklist is to write a quick handwritten note. And when I'm leaving your house, I'm finding a mailbox. Because then I know I'm going to do it.
Right.
Then I know it's not going to be put on a shelf.
Right.
I immediately. So anytime you have a meeting scheduled or anything, have the envelope already done, so all you have to do is just write a quick, and you don't have to write a book.
Right.
I can't tell you. So I can't tell you how many times I preach this, and then I get notes from them. Say, what do you think of this? I even have people say, well, help me design my note to have done.
Yeah.
I always recommend you leave it completely blank inside.
Yeah.
You don't have a thank you on the front of the note because it may just be a
congratulations.
A note. It may just be a note.
Right.
But I always say have your picture on the front so they don't forget you.
Right.
And then it can say maybe a note from Jay Morales. And then in big bold on the front, you have your email, your website, and your direct line. Don't make them look how to get back in contact with you. Don't make them struggle to how to find out who you are, and include your business card. But I just got to tell you this. So when I go over to your house, I'm writing it. Okay, immediately when you call me back and you say we've chosen you to sell our house, 9.9 out of 10 times I go back over to get you to do the paperwork. That handwritten note is sitting on their counter.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's what I was going to say, the impact of that immediate action. So let's say you leave. Let's say it's nighttime. Let's say you drop off that card nighttime. 9 times out of 10, it's delivered next day or the day after, right? That would make me sit back and go, hey, hon, did you see this? The dude already wrote a handwritten card. Mm-hmm. We're not even looking at what it says yet. He took time. He was busy. And he took time. We might not even discuss that, but I think it leaves an impression. It does. Follow up.
Well, here's what it does is in our society, we don't have enough people making us feel like we matter. We just don't.
Right.
We need to all work harder as a community and as a society to make people feel important. A handwritten note makes people feel like they matter. And I like to use examples because I practice what I preach. I will never talk to my audience without practicing with what I do for a living.
Right, because you can detect it then.
I'm on the plane coming back from Phoenix on Wednesday. I'm sitting next to, and I don't care who it is. If they give me their business card, I'm writing them a note. I don't care what their profession is. This happens to be the dean of dentistry at one of the universities.
Yes.
And gave me her card. That night, I'm tired from traveling. I'm just kind of wiped out. I still found time to write a note to say it was great sitting next to you on the plane on the way back from Phoenix. Thank you for the wonderful conversation. If you ever need a speaker, please consider me. Bam. That was it. Sincerely, Van. I always worry about sending notes to people in the academia world because I want them to correct my spelling and send
or
it
your
back.
Punctuation.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this. What does it do for you personally? Like, do you take the process for granted, or does it give you some sense of connection?
So here's what it does. That's a great question to ask me because here's the thing. I love organic income.
Yes.
And you may not have heard that phrase, but that's what I call it. Income I created. So yes. I love it when I meet somebody, I've done something like that, and then all of a sudden I'm speaking to their company, and then I'm getting my check. Yes. And I look at the check and I go, if I wouldn't have written that handwritten note, I wonder if they would have ever called me 6 months later to come speak.
Right.
I'm telling you, it does something huge to me. Know that I created this. I created this with a note, a stamp, and I got the deal.
Think of all the people
that cost me 50 cents plus the note.
Right. The time is the most valuable piece of that. But think about this. You spent money in the last couple of weeks to different people, different organizations, different companies. Yes?
Right.
How many of them sent you a handwritten note?
Or even an email. Email should be a no-brainer. You can do voice to text for an email. Like, that's a no-brainer.
When I go to Hy-Vee, I don't expect them to send me an email.
Right.
But
rarely.
But
people that know me know how valuable that is to me. I get them from the people that know me.
I'm giving too much of a plug to Hy-Vee right now, but do you know why I buy my bourbon there?
Why?
There's this guy named Kent there. Mm-hmm. And every time I walk in, all right, Jay, this new thing, you should try this one because it's this and this. Mm-hmm. He gives me education about. So when I let go of $67 on a bottle of bourbon, I feel like I got it from someone who was caring about me. Mm-hmm. It's the one right there on 180th and Pacific. Like I'm telling you, I feel like going there all the time. I can go to 100 different stores.
Right.
I can get it cheaper from somewhere else.
But the bottom line of that is, did he make you feel important?
Not only did he make me feel important, he emailed me and he follows up with me on the regular. No handwritten card, but that's still a connection that he goes above and beyond.
So I 100% agree with you. I feel the same way you do, and it makes me want to go back. It's like Walt Disney said, make their experience so magical that they want to see it again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do as business people, as salespeople, as leadership. We want people to keep coming back for more.
And families are willing to spend thousands for that experience.
This is why it's so important to make people feel like they matter. And this all goes back to one of my favorite business leaders of all time, a female named Mary Kay Ash.
Yes.
I follow business leaders of every type, and I maybe take a little bit of each of them and see if it works for me as far as my physical makeup. And one thing that Mary Kay Ash said that really blows me away, because it's so simple, is she said, pretend everybody you meet has a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important. I want to tell you something, and I want my audience to really pay attention. You will be successful if you find ways to make people feel like they matter and you make people feel important. I guarantee you, my blessed and successful career is mostly because I made people feel like they matter. It didn't cost me a dime, but you know what it does? It makes you feel just as good as your customer.
Well, and I think the fundamental human spirit says, I'm someone. Not everybody wants to be recognized, but when they are, voluntarily or not, or I should say expected or not, when you're recognized, how good does that make you feel? How many people are under-recognized in today's society? And when you come into the room, Van Dieb, and you speak to them and take the 3 minutes to them, I think that makes a big impact. And that's probably why you're successful.
Well, thank you. I'm going to tell you the power of the handwritten note. I have a drawer that I put them all in.
Right.
I don't throw them away.
You don't throw them away? Why?
I
Why
do
would you
not throw away handwritten notes. Am I going to throw away a typed note? Possibly.
Yes.
Am I going to email? Of course, we delete it.
Yeah.
But a handwritten note, you know what? One of the reasons why I know there's a powerful in writing handwritten notes, when I read it, I see them writing it.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
when I read a handwritten note, I see them taking the time with a pen in their hand, and they're writing me a note.
And if it was even two
lines. I almost want to call people. Hey, thank you for the handwritten note.
Can I ask you, what do you do?
Thank you for thanking me.
So, no, I'm serious. Let me ask you, what do you do? So you get this note. Here's what I see a lot of people do, and I've seen my cards. They take a picture of it, and they put it on Facebook, or they put it on Instagram. Hey, look at. I think that's cool, but what do you do when you get a really impactful note? Do you reciprocate?
I show people.
Okay.
Yeah, I show people, and I want to tell you something. This is kind of over the top, but I do it, and I don't apologize. You write me a killer handwritten note, I'll probably email you and tell you how impactful that was.
That's awesome.
And you know why I do it? Not just because it made me feel happy, but I want to encourage you to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I want to send you a note, Jay, saying, hey, Jay, this is Van. I got your handwritten note today. I want you to know how impactful it was and how good it made me feel. Thank you very much.
Oh, man.
I guarantee you what I just did is I not only thanked him for taking time to write me a note, but I encouraged him to keep it going. And it also shows, let me just tell you something. When you're successful, it also shows your clients you're not too big for your britches.
Yeah.
That just because you've reached levels of success, this shows them that you're not too high and mighty and big for your britches, that you can't take time to write a handwritten note.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I think one of the components that I really am conscious of, let's say I give you a note and you start opening it in front of me. I'm like, hey, read it for yourself later. I don't want to see your reaction now, because you know why? Too often they open a gift or a note from you and they give you an obligatory response.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's
later.
so nice. Yeah, I don't want my presence. Yep. If it's that impactful and you call me later or send me a text, good for you. But I don't want to see your reaction now. That's for you. Yep. Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I can attribute to so much of my success in my career to making people feel important. But you're not doing it as a surface. You're not doing it to be phony. You're doing it because you truly care.
That's who you are.
And you know what? They see that in a handwritten note.
Right.
Instead of me saying, hey, Jay, I care about you and I'd like to do business with you because I care.
Right. You don't have to say that.
And you can be sincere and be,
Right.
But when I get a note from you thanking me for doing business with you or asking you to do business with me or considering me, it means a ton.
Absolutely.
Because, like I say, one of the big reasons why I do it is not just to make people feel important and that they matter, because they do, but no one else is doing it. How incredible is that? It's 50 cents for a stamp, and whatever it costs you to make your own stationery, or you don't have to.
It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be fancy.
It doesn't have to be. It's impactful.
Oh, 100%.
Impactful times 10.
Sets you apart. Sets you way apart.
But Jay, I thanks again for being my guest today on this podcast. I'm asking everybody to please subscribe to these because these podcasts are super impactful.
Take time to share it.
Take time to share it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you like this content, I write newsletters every month that are very similar to what we're talking about today. Go to vandeeb.com. And Jay, if people want to get a hold of you, I've heard you MC big events. I know you're an incredible real estate agent with a great team. How can people get a hold of you, Jay?
Just check out the bottom of this podcast. My name's there, Jay Morales. Google it. You'll find me. But I challenge your audience to do one thing today.
Okay.
Take this podcast and send it to the person who sent you a note. Because I think most of us got notes.
Ooh, send this
podcast, share it to the person who sent you a note and tell them you're grateful for it.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
Jay, I want to thank you for being my guest today. How can people get a hold of you, Jay? I know you're a great master of ceremonies. You're a great real estate professional. You're just darn good at everything you do. Jay, thanks for being a guest today.
man.
And I encourage everybody to sign up and subscribe for these podcasts so you get them automatically. They're all to benefit you. So sign up, rate, review, and thanks for tuning in today. And I hope you listen to the next one. Thank you.
A Parkville Media Production.